Good morning.
What noise was that?
Oh, for once the external speakers are turned on the computer.
Right.
Which may be a good or a bad thing.
Guten Morgen.
Good morning.
What's going on with my hair?
Please stop speaking broken German.
Welcome to the Doc Day Drinking. I'm getting it.
We still have time to change the name of it. Again, it's going to be the irony that I never day drink on it. But I will eventually. Oh yes, once this diet has diet update. I'm down 10 kilos pretty much. So I was 114.5. I'm now 104.5.
Go you.
So it's mostly piss and wind. But some of it must be legitimate weight loss. But I need to get under 95. So this ain't over yet.
I did some exercise yesterday, however I'm being a bit slack this week. But mind you, again, one of the podcasts, I should add that to the list as well, the podcast that I listen to.
Oh yeah.
One of my podcasts says that, you shouldn't be so rigid about, this day I do exercise, because when you miss it, you go, oh, for fuck's sake, well, I just won't do any. So I'm just trying to do three things of exercise a week. It doesn't matter when I do them. So if you miss one, then I go, all right, tomorrow's another day. That's
reasonable. The other thing I'd say, once you've got the the fitbit or the whoop strap, you just say, I need to burn this many calories a week.
Yeah, weekly.
And try to not have to do a 10,000 calories and have a heart attack on the last day. But because that's
the other thing she talks about is planning your life in weeks. That's the natural flow of humans.
Right. Okay. We also have to practice not talking over each other. What I was going to say...
It's going to be a long one or a very short one.
Podcast or marriage?
Both.
The third wives, they're so uppity. What I was going to say was that the whoop strap is so good at... I'm sure yours is the same. Is so good at... Well, it's very calorie oriented. So I look at it, I'm on the treadmill at the gym and I'm not looking at how far I've gone, I'm looking at how many calories I've burned. So I'm like going, I want to burn 500 calories. I don't care if it's 4Ks, 5Ks or 2Ks.
So the only thing I'll say about I've got the Fitbit Charge 5, which is it's not a watch, it's a Fitbit. You can buy a Fitbit watch. I didn't want that because I've already got a Samsung watch, but that's been relegated since I've bought this. And I just put my Westpac card onto it yesterday, so I can pay with this now as well. So I dare say my other watch is done. But there's not very many watch faces.
And you're all about the watch faces. And
I like a watch face. So this one is the best of the lot because it tells me the most of what I want to see. But you can flick... At the bottom, it flicks between calories, steps, zone minutes, they call it, when you hit into the fat-burning cardio. I've only done 3 today. But, yeah, it does do the same, what you're saying, so kilometres and calories and steps and stuff, but you have to dig for it. Because I don't really care about... I'm more step-oriented. I don't care about calories.
I'm trying not to annoy you further because I can't afford this divorce. But like I started saying, steps versus an actual accurate, objective, measurable.
I don't know if any of it's accurate.
They've done reviews on each one of the devices, and I know the Whoop one comes out the best, but like this thing,
it's $1 million.
It's expensive. It doesn't even have a screen. Like it is a sensor. That's all it is. Where that's I can't pay for my shopping with a Whoop strap. It is a medical grade device. But I still think
look into it before I bought it. Continue.
Yes. But I was just going to say the heart rate I think calories and things was relatively equivalent on those two devices, but I think when you start drilling it down to some of the more trickier metrics like the heart rate variability and all the rest of it, I think one of them, and I think it was that one, but it might not have been that one because they reviewed like 6 or 7 different competing devices, and some of them were like 30% accurate.
Shit.
Yeah, like pretty not worth worrying about. Where this one, I think, on most of them was quite high. But again, you pay for it. Like this thing's $50 a month.
Yeah.
So
And you have to commit to a year.
And you have to commit to a minimum of a year.
Whereas this one said, I am a nerd, so I did do some research. For what I wanted, it was the best value for money. And as I said, I didn't want a smartwatch as such, but this seems to do everything that my other smartwatch did anyway.
Apart from you wanting a particular face.
Yeah, again, being rural, on my other one I have sunrise and sunset and the weather right on the front, so I don't have to go digging for it. And this one I don't think I can't do that. Like, I can't access any of that. I did try building my own watch face on the other one and that worked, but then I found one that someone had already done. It was much better. But yeah, you can't, that's the only drawback. It's not really customizable. So, anywho. But no, so I'll get to do some more exercise today at some point.
Again, thrilling content as we start. What did you have you wanted to talk about?
Well, round the grounds at Tassie stuff. Agfest tickets go on sale next week.
Very
Oh,
exciting.
and we're going to Exeter Show this weekend.
Exeter Show. What was Exeter Show? Was just a county fete, wasn't it? Like
Yeah,
it
country
was
fair.
Just country. That's the word I'm looking. They're the words I'm looking for. And we went 2019 before the world ended, and it was okay, and then it got shut down.
Yes, it was very good.
World wars didn't stop it, but a case of the
Launceston-
sniffles did.
Yeah, Launceston Show, don't bother. It's not even like, yeah. Yeah.
I'll come to that later on.
But of the various, because I like a country fair, of the various ones that we went to, that was the best. Except for Agfest is the best, but it's not really a country fair. It's a proper
It's an agricultural show.
agricultural show, which goes 4 days, and the Exeter Show goes for 1 day, and it was the best. You know, it had your hall with your scones and your morning tea wrapped in plastic, which was a bit strange, and then your flowers and your dog jump and your cars and tractors and that kind of stuff.
No, well, we'll go on. We'll report back next week. And next week we're also going to Brisbane for reasons that are still not entirely clear to me.
Get out of Dodge.
So do we take our gear and do a day drinking on the road, where at least I will definitely be day drinking. So from late on Tuesday evening, Wednesday and Thursday next week, I am not on a diet. But I am going to try and burn as many calories as which I consume. So that will require getting up before I begin and running my fat ass for an hour, and then lifting weights, and then at night probably having a swim, all with a cocktail in hand. Because I'm not going to go up there and just put on my eating dress and sit at a buffet, even though we've looked at videos of buffets.
We might be having problems. Yeah, if anyone has any recommendations for Brisbane or food, please feel free, because my usual process when I'm going somewhere is I Google cheap eats, because I like eating where the locals eat, and there didn't seem to be. There's a few, but they're not. Brisbane wise.
Do they not have a cheap eat culture? B, I don't think I saw much of an eating culture, full stop. And C, and possibly the main thing, they don't have a vlog culture of people going around and going, hey, here are the cheap eats. So we found maybe 3 people that did videos that were 3 or 4 people that did videos that were useful. So there was the one guy just walking down Queen Street Mall. I think it's Queen Street's the main drag.
I don't know.
Brisbane.
I've been to Brisbane twice in this lifetime.
I've been more than that, but it's been a while. So whatever the main drag is, and that guy was useful, showing you're going here and you're going here, and I was like,
yes,
but it was just a mall. Then there's this other lunatic, half Asian guy doing
Sunnybank.
Was that him? Yes, he was. He started off and said, "This is Brisbane's Chinatown. Don't come here."
That's not the actual.
I knew I'd forgotten something.
Thing.
Hold that thought. I forgot to put caffeine on.
But yeah, he said this is Chinatown and there's no one here, and there literally was no one there behind him. And then he went to Sunnybank and we had to look up where that was because we're not. Again, I'm not familiar with Brisbane.
No, neither am I really. I went to Brisbane. The first time I went to Brisbane was in. I went to Brisbane a couple of times in the 90s, and then once in the noughties, and then maybe how many times have you and I been to Brisbane? Maybe once. We've at least been once.
Have we?
Once or twice. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
We've got to visit friends.
Yeah, we went.
That was once, I think.
Yeah.
And nothing was open and we couldn't get any alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
At 6 o'clock in the evening, and they're looking at you like, well, what the fuck would you want to buy drinks now for? And I went, oh, I don't know.
Yes, because again, proper breeding, you don't go to someone's house without a gift, and we were trying to take a nice bottle of wine and couldn't.
Yeah, I think what did we do in the
We went to Woolworths, I think, and got chocolates. A box of chocolates because we couldn't get anything else.
Like dating teenagers.
Yeah. But I went a couple of times for work, and that was it.
Anyway, so there was the Asian guy, the half Asian guy who was trying to do some, he was trying to do like a Brisbane blog thing, and he seemed very, very excited and very animated, yet distant and sad because he realised that there wasn't that fucking much to be talking about. I'm sure it's lovely. We'll have a look next week. Then there was this Asian girl that wasn't even trying to do a good video, and I think was the best video of the lot, where she was just showing like
the
what I want
food
to.
and the place.
Yeah, I went here. Here is its menu. Here is its food. It is good or it is bad.
Yeah.
Next, I went here.
Yeah.
Here is its menu. Here is its food. I thought it was good or bad. Next, and everyone she went to, we went, oh yeah, I'd go to fucking all of those. Then there's another one of those. Well,
because we like Asian food too.
Yeah, well, what we like.
I like all food.
Let me tell you what we like.
Okay, what do we like?
No, what we like generally, because here's a rant. Fine dining in Australia doesn't exist.
No.
I don't care what you people say. It doesn't fucking exist. I have been to some of the most expensive restaurants in Australia, and I've had some of the cheapest, dodgiest kebabs in Australia. I know which end of town produces better, more consistent food that's value for money. I have no problem spending $1,000 on a dinner for two.
We have.
Absolutely. And how many times have you come away thinking that was worth doing?
Yeah.
I can't think of one.
No.
Like, that was really good.
I'd do that again. Yeah.
Not once. Not once. Then I've been to a 2 Michelin-starred restaurant in bumfuck France somewhere and had the plat de jour for €40, and it's been,
good.
Really good.
Yeah.
And it's consistent, because that's the thing. So yeah, maybe. And how many times have we been somewhere where it has been good, not $1,000, but we've gone somewhere and gone, oh, that was really good. And then you go back there the next time, and it's changed hands, it's gone broke, it's completely different. You got it on a bad day. Like, just, I don't want my skirt thrown up over my head. I just want it to be consistently good, give or take 5%. Like a 10% band.
Which is a running joke here, because, yeah, Tassie food, Jesus.
It's terrible. Yeah. And they rave about it, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
They export all the good stuff, I think.
But then I still don't. But that's where I'm picking on Australia. I don't know. Maybe the food's fucking awesome in Adelaide. I don't know. But a la carte in Australia is a waste of time.
They said the running joke here now that we realise is why McDonald's is always packed, because it's consistent and you know what you're going to get.
There's a couple of
McDonald's though, and you go to one that is consistent. You know what? The other one is fucking not.
Yeah. So I've never seen. So again, coming from New South Wales, we've never seen so many people. I've never seen so many queues at KFC, McDonald's.
Junk food.
Just real
franchise.
Yeah.
Takeaway.
American chains.
Yeah. That
are so popular here, and I never got it, and I never understood it originally, because I also argue that the food was better here on the first tour of duty than now. Now, I'm being a hard marker. I can get a reasonable kebab that's pretty consistent from one place at a fucking 6. There's no good Chinese food.
It's all No,
it's all so. It would be the best Chinese here would be a so-so suburban Chinese restaurant in wherever the fuck Sydney. Like one that you wouldn't go to the one that you go, oh, we'll just go there because
It's country Chinese.
Country Chinese is usually
better.
good.
Yeah, I was
country
say,
Chinese is good.
What am I looking for? It's mall Chinese. Mall, supermarket, mall, shopping mall Chinese.
The best Chinese in northern Tasmania isn't as good as mall Chinese in...
all right, yeah.
Like, Narellan Golden Wok kicks the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Like, it just isn't as good. It's just really bad. So they don't have a culture of that. Curry... You squint and stand on one leg, there's one or two places that's edible. It's really not good. It's just average. It's just average. There's nothing.
Yeah.
So, I can get an okay kebab.
I enjoyed the Italian.
We need to try that again.
Yeah.
That might be
We've
okay.
only been once, though.
We've only been once. We need to try that again. That might be okay. That's another option for Tuesday night.
And that's
before we go.
weird for me too, because I never go out for Italian, but I'm lacking in choices here. So I go, all right, I'll go to Italian.
Well, funnily enough, back home, that was the one which is sadly gone. You know,
Palos.
Yeah, Wale Palos in Picton. That was one constant in an ever-changing universe. The menu
didn't change.
Oh, he had specials and things, but you went there and it was consistent. Never had a bad meal there. Consistent, and that was fine. And that's what you have to do to survive in the middle of nowhere doing something that's not fish and chips.
Yeah.
And they did until a flood destroyed them, and then COVID, just as they got back on their feet, COVID slit both of their throats, and they were old enough that they've just gone,
let's just retire.
Fuck it. We go, and you couldn't criticise them at all. Like, apart from me being shitty, going, fuck you for closing, you sons of bitches. But
I'm just trying to think, food wise. So there's a food cafeteria type thing called Morty's in Launceston.
All roads lead to Morty's.
Yeah, it's where we end up going.
And now it's not too bad. There's a sushi place in there where the sushi's generally terrible, but their $12 special is consistent and it is fine. And a $12 lunch special these days is
and that's
very
the other
competitive.
point. It's very expensive.
It's very expensive.
There's no value for money.
No. So that place is good. Dodgy Ding Sing's in there, and so we can finally get char siu. Thank you, Jesus, finally. And that's only relatively new. The guy's nuts, but we do like him, ish. Shout out to Sam Payne. The Chinese, the actual East Ocean Chinese, it's okay. It's not great. It's okay, but hilariously so, the Dodgy Food Court is by far overall the most consistent place.
It's kind of like, well, it's an Australian version of a hawker market, but there's only 5 things in it.
It is Campbelltown Mall food court without Campbelltown Mall.
Yeah. And there's a KFC bolted onto one side and a Subway on the other, and a couple of other Vietnamese and something else.
And none of them are any good.
No, they're all outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, in terms of food, it's we call it a food desert, and
it just is.
The hilariousness, they got some gastronomy award they must have paid for.
Yeah, during a pandemic where obviously no one could come here, and they must have just sort of put all the names in a hat and picked one out because
who the fucking judges were.
I don't know. If you go, but that's the thing. Like, I'm sure if you go to some, it's got. I don't know. Maybe there's secret places here that are really, really good. I don't know. But all the places, there's nothing really new here that we haven't been to.
I know, we haven't been to heaps.
Oh, we've been to Grain of the Silos and all the big things we've kind of been to.
No.
But
no, we haven't.
Well, allow me to retort. A lot of the other big things like Black Cow and Stillwater and all those other things, they've been there for 20 years and they were bad 20 years ago. Other people have gone there and told me they're still bad, so I haven't bothered.
We need to go to Geronimo. We
haven't been there.
We've tried Monsoon, they're good.
Monsoon was pretty good. Not for the financially challenged, too dear for what it is, but and
malicious.
Full of dickheads.
Yeah.
And malicious,
Monsoon's full of
a meat and rice is
man buns.
Yeah. We'll come back to that. Malaysia's just for a second. Quality of the food I think is quite good. Just too dear.
So what did you get the other day?
So I got chicken and rice. So a chicken and rice.
In a container?
In a container. So what would be a lunch special in Wales? $26.40. And I nearly died when she said, I know they've got to make a living. I understand all of that. But $26.40 for what otherwise would be a lunch special.
Yeah.
It's like it was meat and rice. In a
normal takeaway container.
No, it was in one of those
slightly bigger ones.
No, if I may finish. It was slightly bigger, but it was one of the hippy dippy made out of paper ones, but like the bigger cardboard ones. So, but the serving wasn't enormous.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You go, all right, I'm willing to pay, but then it comes out and you go, oh, for fuck's sake.
If $26 feeds 2 people, then fine. It wouldn't have fed 2 people, and it definitely wouldn't have fed you how I ordered it, because what they do when they say, how hot do you want it, 1 out of 10, and I say 400, it's challenging hot for me.
So, but yeah, so there's a couple of places we haven't been to, but yeah, I get what you're saying about they were shit 20, and that's the other thing. Things survive here that are bad. Well, in our opinion, they're bad.
Well, this segues into my rant that I wish to have.
Oh, yeah.
That will be controversial. Tasmanian businesses deserve to go broke.
Oh God, there's a few of them. Yeah,
there's a few. So yesterday, going into town, so I needed to buy some fencing wire, so some fencing mesh, right? So now I can get it from Bunnings, and I know how much it is at Bunnings because Bunnings has a working website. But on the way into town, I try to ring some other places. Right? It's the future. I'm in a car. I have Google. Okay, Google, call this one. So these places shall remain unnamed, mostly, to protect the guilty.
Sorry, who do you want to call?
See, I've proven it does work.
We've got multiple Google devices in this room, and the other one's talking as well.
See, this is why. See, ChatGPT is a language model and not a general AI. A general AI, something like that, would know whether or not it's being spoken to or being spoken about. But I digress. So anyway, so I go into town, shaking your head at me.
This is folly. Yep.
How do you mean? What's bits folly?
We try this all the time, and it never works.
Right. So first of all, and this is why I think they deserve, they genuinely deserve to go broke. And these are all. And I'm not saying these aren't what I would call small businesses. Even by Sydney standards, I'd say these are medium businesses. So these are chains. So even in Tasmania, they're in 5, 10 locations. Like they're a decent size business.
Yep.
So number one, I ring. This is the one that used to be Animal Tucker Box.
Yep.
So
it's now Pet Stock.
Yes.
I'm naming that one because fuck you.
They don't even answer the phone.
No.
They don't have a website. Because I get it. I don't want to call you.
That works and shows you anything useful.
Yeah, that shows you anything useful. Because that's the thing when they all bitch and talk about big companies and they're taking everything. You know why? Because they're fucking competent. Which comes back to like the food. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. But it's consistent.
Yeah.
It's in the middle, right? So from Bunnings, I generally can find out. Well, I can know if they stock it or not. Definitely can find out if they stock it or not. I can generally, with reasonable certainty, know if they've got stock, and they understand that where they say in stock, low stock, out of stock, low stock. Yeah, take a punt. But if it says it's in stock, generally, and I can see which shops has it because even in dreary old Lonnie, I've got 2 choices for Bunnings. So I go there. They don't even answer the phone. They don't have a website. They should go broke. Especially when they took over a formerly good business and turn it into their homogenised crap, which doesn't. And the irony of it, they call it Pet Stock Country for the ag version of it. And when we went in, so we've been in there. Oh, we're looking for this and this. Oh, I can get it in. So can I. We're in the future. I can order all this shit off Amazon or eBay or whoever the fuck.
That is a very common response in Tasmania. Oh, I can get it in for you, but it'll be a wait. It's like, I can order it from China too. Like,
yeah, that's all gone.
Okay.
That's all gone. Like, if you want to make money, you need to keep stock. And there's the thing, we can't afford to keep stock. We'll have a smaller range.
Well, don't be in business.
Or that. That. So I try and ring. Them. It doesn't work out. I try and ring the major competitor to Bunnings, right? In Launceston. Big blue building. You know who I'm talking about. I don't know whether I do or don't mention them, but anyway, I'm trying not to be a prick about these. But these are all big businesses. Same deal. No website.
No.
Right? No website. Right?
Oh, no, there's a website, but there's nothing useful on it.
Yeah. But that's the other thing, right? When they complain about it. So, you're not going around with, circa 1982, and even in 1982 you really didn't have an excuse, with a fucking manual pricing gun and going
ka-chunk, ka-chunk. I've used one of them, they were fun.
Yeah, we've all used them. I've owned one. You're not going around doing that anymore. It's all computerised. The data are there. You can use them, right? And just put it in the most basic. You would get something definitely off the shelf that would require a week's consulting and then a small monthly retainer. Like, you could set it up, like, it's not cheap, like I could do it in my head, but you could set it up for $100,000, right?
But are you talking about the franchise or the business itself?
I'm talking about that business, because they're all individually owned, right? And if
they don't care.
I understand that, and that's why they deserve to go broke. So there isn't a website, and that's what I'm ranting about. Like, it cost you $100,000 to get it up, and it might cost you, let's say, $2,000 a month to keep it going. And you would make, out of me alone, you could make $1,000 a month if your prices were competitive, because I'd check between them. So one guy with one shitty half farm would give you half that money back, despite everybody else. I try and ring them. They don't answer. This is a company with what? Just in that place, 30 employees?
Too many employees that stand around and do nothing.
Yeah. No one picks up the phone. So I haven't finished yet. Then I ring the ag shop, also taken over by one of the world's largest companies. Nutrien is a Canadian company, which is the second largest producer of nitrogen fertiliser in the world, right? And pro tip, that's a growth industry. They're making money hand over fist. They've bought all the little tin pot Tasmanian ag things. They also don't have a website. They do answer the phone with a mumbler who shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a phone. And they quote me for the same thing that I'm going to Bunnings for 2.5 times the price.
Yep.
Oh, and I'm not sure if we've got any. And I'm talking about fence mesh. You're an ag place. Now, here's how farming works. Before you do anything, the first thing you need is a fence. That's like job one. You need a fence. You can't farm without a fence. Not really. So you need fencing. And then you need irrigation. You need to water the plants. And then the rest of it's all bollocks, bits around the edges. But you need fencing and you need irrigation. Anyway, so he did have it 2.5 times the cost of the same thing from Bunnings. And I'm sure these are local franchises. They're not actually owned by some massive conglomerate. They'd be paying franchise fees to them for reasons I'm not sure. But anyway, they should all go broke. You're that bored with this story because you know what they're like. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And then they whinge and bitch when they do go broke. And you just think so that's why you just go. So that's why when you drive up to Bunnings any day in Launceston, that massive car park up the front is full. Generally. And that's why. And it sucks. And they're hopeless. But they're not as hopeless as everybody else.
They're the least hopeless. May I speak now?
Yes, you may. I told you it was a rant.
It's 50 years ago here. The people running the shops are incompetent. The people buying from the shops are morons, mostly, 95% of them.
And they put up with
it and go, oh, well, it's always been that way. They don't like change. They waste their money on things that are shit because they don't have a lot of choice. The businesses themselves hold their customers in contempt. Like, they have them contempt. They honestly hate their customers most of the time.
We can't talk.
Well, to the point that I'm saying that they don't even put basic processes in place, like a phone number and a website that works.
Yeah. Even we do that.
When you walk into a shop and there's no prices on anything.
That drives me spare.
Yeah,
well, that was that same ag shop that I went to. And then, and that's when...
And I don't want to ask 50 times, how much is that, just put a fucking price on it.
Yep.
And it's not just retail shops, it's food shops and bars. I've been in a bar before where there's no, there's not that you have prices on things, but there's been no menu. We've got a menu. There's been no menu and all this different shit that I don't know what it is, all these brands I don't recognise.
Yeah, to rant about bars just for a second for the benefit of the listener, is that so many bars here, especially small bars, will go, oh, we're all about Tasmanian stuff. Now, every man and his dog here has a distillery. We are the only people in Tasmania with a genuine net worth of more than $1 million that doesn't own a distillery. Yeah. And the only reason I don't own a distillery is I've got too many other projects on. Otherwise, I might set up a distillery. It's on the list. But because for a podcast another time, I'm actually quite good at it and I enjoy it. But so anyway, the point is there's lots and lots and lots of different alcohols that you've never heard of. Like, there is hundreds of gin distilleries. Like, it's not reasonable. It's not like you go, oh, you know. So when you go in there and you're presented with 40 things, none of it's got a brand you recognise. You don't know what it is. So you spend there asking questions. And a lot of them, especially when they start out, what can we tell you? And how can I'm your bartender and how can I think? But, you know, once that fucking shine wears off, it's just like, oh, why do you keep going into the anchors? Why don't you, you know, it's like, why don't you put a fucking price on it? Put a price on it. If you have a website with the prices on it, I will come in here with one express, do you know, because again, cutting myself off, they're pissy, like they're wanting you to just come in and fucking buy something and go away. Do you know how you can make that happen? You can advertise your fucking prices. Yep. Even go old school, have a special, put it in the fucking newspaper.
It's weird.
Even the hookers manage to do that.
It is weird. Yeah, and they wonder why people get annoyed. Well, again, I don't know whether, I think it's just people like us getting annoyed, people who aren't from here, because they all just go, oh, well, that's how it is. It's like, how? And then they've got all these, continuing, excuse me for a moment, my rant, they've got all these spivvy agencies, this is my world, marketing agencies and advertising agencies and website builders and, no joke, out the front of Bunnings, remember? Build a website. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Is it 1982? Like,
97.
1992. But yeah, like, they've got all these people helping other businesses to build a website, and you get grants for building a website and blah. It's like, that's been and gone. You should have a website. You should have everything in place already, and you don't.
And maybe we're missing it. I don't know. Maybe we're not speaking Tasmanian. Maybe we're not looking at the right places. Maybe it's all on the dark web. I don't know. But the amount of times, especially going into those ag places, because I know what it is. It's 1982. All they want to deal with, because I've got a solution for this too. All they want to deal with, obviously, is the big fucking farms where someone goes in there and says, yeah, I want 14. Will this thing shut up? Sorry, excuse me. Well, what is that going off? Just go away. Yeah, they want to go in where they go, you know, I want to go in and I've got a rant about this too, which I'll come back to. When I want to go in, I want to buy 14 truckloads of feed or something, and they want to deal with just people like that. Well, fine. You know how you can fix that? Make it fucking wholesale only. Don't be open to the public. Close the gate and just deal with the big guys if you don't want to deal with the little small guys. But with some things, I'm not a little small guy. Because I remember trying to deal with that other firm where I wanted to build that road, and I said, and you know, they sell broken bitumen. It's like, good. And I got in touch with them, and they were like, oh, you know, they're being cagey like some of those bigger places do. How much do you need? And I said, oh, I don't know, 1,000 tons, 2,000 tons. Like, you send trucks, and I'll tell you when to stop. Oh, well, we'll have to get back to you then about that. Did. And then they never did. That was fucking years ago, you know. And I chased them up twice. You know, it's just like, just go broke. Just stop. Let someone else come in and do it if you don't want to do it. But I don't understand how it functions. I don't know. Not everyone can be running a dope grow out here. Like,
I don't get it either.
It just does not make any sense to me.
There are so many places across all different industries and categories that you walk into, there's no one else in there. They've got dust on the stock because it's been sitting there for so long, and they've got staff wandering around doing nothing, that you just look at it and go, how are you still in business? I don't know.
And you're right, it's across all sorts of categories.
Yeah.
But as I said, and these people that literally you go in there and they just go,
Yeah.
and you go, I don't want my ass kicked. I don't even want that. I don't even want to go in there. As I said, if you did those other things that I asked, like answer the phone, but better than that, have a fucking website that's got a catalogue on it with prices.
I prefer
that's
not
searchable.
to talk to people.
I would walk in with a list, this, and this. I'll wait in the car. If that's what you want.
Bunnings drives me mental. At least they've stopped this. Remember when every single staff member, when they walk past someone, would say hello?
They still do a bit of it. They do a bit of it. I think the ones that have been there for a while, they've still got the habit.
Right, because I didn't get it as much the other day, and I went, thank fuck for that, because I just ignore them.
Well, I'm terrible.
Because I'm not saying hello 55 times.
Yeah. It's the American greeter thing.
And then the woman the other day again, Bunnings is a whole different area, but the woman on the checkout the other day, and you popped into my head, emotional rape, because, hello, how are you? And then we both just kind of look at her, and then she says it again. Hello, how you going? And she's looking at us, waiting for a response. I'm like, I don't have to talk to you.
And I don't want to, and I know that's been terrible, but usually what I do is they'll go, oh, how are you? And I'll go, hello.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you. Because if I'm going to do it, I don't want to engage in fucking meaningless chit-chat with you. And I don't want to tell you how I'm really going. Yeah. How are you today? Oh, well, my back hurts and I'm trying to do this and I've got this to do and I've got that to do. But it doesn't matter. I don't really have to do anything. How are you going? And they go, fine, thanks.
Yeah,
I know there's basic human... I know there's... noises need to come out of my face.
That's the wrong question.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Hi.
Yeah.
If you say hi or good morning...
Don't ask me how I am.
Yeah. But that's... How you going, mate? Fine, thanks.
Did you find everything you needed? Yes. No.
It's just...
Or don't. Just next.
Yes. So, well, funnily enough, I was going to bring up the Germanic states as a thing. It's just like going into you go into an Austrian pub and it's Gross Gott, Greek God, But at least it's... You make a noise and then I make a noise back and then we continue with our interaction. I don't like... Because the point is that you're making, which is right, is that they're expecting an answer. And they're expecting... They seem here to mostly be expecting more than fine thanks, which I've been bad, so I can tell that story. That one in a really bad one in Woolworths, which you weren't with me that time, where this woman's... And I'm tired and I'm grumpy and, and again, I was being a bit rude, but she said, someone that's on fucking 11, and she was a Karen, and it was like, hi, how are you? And I said, hello. And then she went, no, I asked you, how are you? And then I just ignored her. And then she stopped and she said, how are you? Or something like... I can't remember. This was like a year ago. I've told you this before. And then I went, I'm sorry, I'm deaf. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh. And I went, I could be. Maybe I just don't want to fucking talk to you. And she went...
I don't think you swore at her.
No, I think maybe I just don't want to talk to you. Or something like that, or I could be. Or I can't remember. I said, at the very least, I said, I could be. So, and the obvious... It's like... I responded to your original thing with something sufficient. I don't want to talk to you. I'm just not in the mood. She's one of those, unfuckable 50-year-olds.
And then seething.
With a badge, for something,
It's my bread maker.
And it's just like, I just don't want to talk to you, which I know is terrible.
It should stop.
Can everything in this... Now I'm getting into it. Now you're seeing me get into a mood. It's like, can everything in this house stop fucking beeping? Just fuck up.
It smells good though, but no.
Yeah, so yes, that's first world, super entitled. Why are these people below me talking to me? But that's an annoyance. But I did get a bit of that yesterday. So I actually thought of that yesterday. Just going, I just don't want to, hi. Oh, it's a nice day. Yeah, I understand. I don't read my... Yeah, I get that I'm being an entitled fuckhead. I understand that. But you also need to read the room. I'm dressed as a farmer. Farmers don't fucking talk that much. We don't We don't like, not that I'm a farmer, but I'm in farmer cosplay and I'm fencing and I'm buying fencing stuff. For all intents and purposes, I'm fucking Farmer Joe. It's like, I don't want to talk to you. And you should know that they don't want to talk to you. But you keep trying to rape conversation out of me. And it's like, at some point I'm going to, which I've done, politely.
I'm going to wear headphones.
Yeah. I was going to say, to finish that, like, politely, and I have done this before, it's like, I just want to check this out, I just want to go. Okay? That's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Then you end up interacting with them more, and then they feel like shit and all the rest of it, but I'm not interested. Less talk, more checkout. I want to get the fuck out of here, because I've already got to get this, and then I've got to go through the door Nazi, and we've already had that conversation on here, and then I've got to go and load this shit and deal with these other fucking idiots that are in the bloody way.
Yeah, because everything's a to-do.
Yeah, everything's a to-do, and I'm not interested. Just, I'm perfect. Yeah.
That's why I order as much online as I possibly can and deal with our lovely local post office, who I'm quite happy to deal with. Yeah.
So anyway, that's a bit of a rant. So anyway, but there's a twist to yesterday's tale, and this is why I wrote it in. So I'd done all that, and these companies, as I was going back and I was saying, these companies weren't answering the phone. Cup Day.
Oh.
So, not only, but I'm not retreating from this, not only do Tasmanian small businesses deserve to go broke in many cases, Tasmanian regional holidays need to die. So then afterwards, because by the time I got to Bunnings in the car, I went, oh, fuck. To make it clear, I saw no evidence of Cup Day. I didn't see any evidence of, because you used to see...
Explain what Cup Day is.
Yes, Cup Day is Launceston Cup Day, which is a regional public holiday for a fucking horse race. So imagine the world's smallest, most pathetic version of Melbourne Cup.
That's it.
That's what it is. And I saw no evidence of it, because back in the day with Cup Day, on my first tour of duty here, there'd be a stream of drunken people in cheap low suits, either heading to Mowbray or coming from Mowbray.
Right.
So there was no evidence whatsoever it was on. But then I was thinking, fuck, it's Cup Day. Maybe that's why they're not answering the phones. So we'll have to run an experiment. I'll have to do it again. But these regional holidays, so Cup Day, for Christ's sake, you don't need a day off for it. And the
it's
day
only
off,
a half day anyway.
It's a half day, and it runs from one street to another. Like, it's only for the metropolitan.
Welcome to Tasmania.
So there's that. There's
Hobart,
Recreation Day,
Regatta
Day. There's Launceston Show Day. So the Launceston Show is utterly defunct.
Oh no, they tried again this year.
It's utterly defunct.
They put it where Agfest is.
It's utterly defunct.
We keep saying they should just bolt it onto Agfest, and they refuse to do it.
If you took Launceston Show, the Showman's Guild, and Agfest and bolted it together, it would be the Sydney Easter Show in its heyday, and it would be
great.
An event worth coming into state for, especially for Gen X fuckwits with their horrible children, to go, this is what the Easter Show used to be like.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it'd be, and it'd be awesome. You need to get the surviving members of the Commodore Precision Driving team out.
That was good.
Get a laser show from 1984. And it'd be great. But they won't do it. They won't do it because everybody. I think most of the committee for the Launceston Show are actually clinically dead.
Yeah, they're really old
because they're definitely dotarded.
And there's some kind of ideological thing going on there that they refuse to do it.
It would absolutely do it, and then have the day off, because all the kids go to fucking Agfest anyway, and all the schools and things do it. So have it like you used to have again at the Easter Show, where they used to have school day, kids day, for all the schools and things would go there, and
Yeah.
So, but yes, Agfest is, but that. Let us not say a bad word about Agfest because we can't. It's really good.
It's really good.
It's really good. It's well organised. It's run by rural youth.
I was going to say Rural Youth Tasmania. And they have their shit together.
They've got a website.
They've got a website.
They've got prices.
They've got prices. They've got programs. They've got exhibit. They've got everything. And that isn't set in stone. Every year they have a new head person. Like it rotates through the younger.
But there's clearly enough organisational memory there to go, these are the things which we need to do, and they're doing it competently.
Even when it's difficult, like last Agfest was difficult because it rained so much and everyone was getting bogged.
And was it the year before? And was it the year before there was last year the first year since COVID?
Yep. And they did run it the previous year, and we went, but they had caps. Remember?
Yeah, and it was retarded.
Yeah.
And I think they gave
moved it.
and they gave an ultimatum to government, which was basically saying, if you're going to cap us again, well, we're not going to do it because
they capped it at something stupid.
Yeah,
like 5,000 people or something.
Out, which is a whole other argument which everybody has, which puts us firmly in the
rant zone.
No, cooker territory, which is the new insult in Australia, which I prefer to be referred to as a scientist with a PhD who can fucking read a book.
What's cooker? As in drug cook?
No, cooked. Oh Christ! So
heard it,
for our
but
American viewers, yes. So this is apparently the etymology of this word,
right.
is that something being cooked is something that's fucked. So you're saying
the car's cooked.
Yeah, I've cooked the car.
That's all I've heard.
So it's fucked, right?
Yeah.
So this somehow has memed itself onto people who don't believe in masks, think that government did the wrong thing. They call them cookers now, which is a thing in Australian.
Okay, that's weird.
In Australia, so you're a racist and a cooker.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a relatively new thing that's popped up into the zeitgeist over the last few months.
All right, cool.
So I've been repeatedly called these things from my just basic interactions on Twitter.
Can't they come up with some better insults?
It'll do. It's better than, because it replaced, because beforehand it was RWNJ, right wing nut job.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know.
So they've gotten rid of right wing nut job, and now it's just cooker.
Oh, okay, cool.
Where everyone else is a leftard.
Oh, all right.
So there's leftards and cookers.
Gotcha. Yep.
So welcome aboard.
Cool.
Such is the nature of society and discourse in 2023.
I am listening.
So in other news, again, since we're sticking on Tasmania again somewhat, we will have a non-Tasmanian podcast soon, possibly in Brisbane. Okay, this is just as shit as Tasmania. Is the AFL team. They're trying to get... So this... I've been called a I don't know, I think just retard on Twitter about this. So the Tasmanian government is trying to spend a huge chunk of change on a new stadium in Hobart, like to
when
the
they've
tune
got
of
one next door.
$750,000. When they've got a perfectly good stadium just down the road, and they've got a perfectly good stadium in Launceston as well that's been used for that purpose, as I understand it, with no real problems. But politicians like to unveil plaques and corporate.
They don't even have a team.
Organisation. Well, that's what we're getting to, my dear wife. Is that they're trying to get up, because AFL said unless you build a new stadium, well, you can't have an AFL team, right? Expecting
them to not build one.
I would say that, right? So they've tried to run it up a flagpole and they haven't got it. I would explain perfectly, I would understand perfectly. The only way you'd get me behind that would be if you agreed to build the stadium right on the Mason-Dixon line. So pick either Oatlands or Ross and spend $1 billion there, and then...
That would be good.
No, it'd be stupid.
But good, better than.
But it'd be less stupid than putting it next door to the other one, and then at least.
What do they do with the other one?
I don't fucking know. Turn it into a lesbian outreach centre.
Because Sydney, they at least bombed it, demolished it, and put it up in the same spot.
That's where we criticise. Well, they like the entertainment centre, right? So we've got this circa 1988 entertainment centre that's white.
Not even that.
The actual steel and thing. We're going to drop that, so we dropped
Aussie
that.
Stadium out at Moore Park. Remember, they bombed that.
Yeah, and built exactly the same thing in its place. Just like I was going to say, the fucking not the entertainment centre, sorry, the exhibition centre.
Oh yeah, and they're doing the entertainment centre.
Yeah, and they blow it up and then they build exactly the same thing.
A new one,
because that's what we do in Sydney. We our graft is in building, so maybe that's what they're trying to do. Anyway, long story short, they're trying to put this stupid fucking AFL stadium up, and this is something, and it's not going very well politically for them, because also the government here went from having quite a charismatic premier to
Mr. Gutwin,
to
who's a local from where we live.
Yes, therefore outing us as to where we live, but doesn't matter. Kilometres and kilometres of kilometres away, so it's fine. Yeah, and they've replaced him with someone that's just a seat moistener.
Is this Rockcliffe?
Yeah.
That's
Like,
the only
what policies do they have?
Don't know.
Yeah. What's he doing?
Don't know.
What's he look like?
Grey hair.
Sure.
No.
There you go.
But yeah.
So they've...
Jeremy Rockcliffe.
Yes. So caretaker mode.
Couldn't tell you if he was
break
Liberal or
through.
Labor.
Liberal. So there you go. Anyway, so what's hilarious is all of that. So the AFL today, the organisation, has announced that they are willing to put $360 million into Tasmanian...
Building of a stadium.
No, the team. So...
Fuck me dead.
I don't understand how Mexican football works. I don't. Wolves are not concerned with the affairs of sheep. How the fuck does it cost $360 million to get, what do we need? 24
Boots.
pituitary retards to run around a field and throw...
They're professional, apparently, now, and you have to pay the people.
Great. 360 million?
Yeah, no, I don't understand. Yeah.
And assuming... Because is it a Tasmanian team if we just... what are we going to do? Buy
the dudes from somewhere else to bring them down here.
We're going to get the whatever the AFL equivalent is of Pele, God rest his soul, and, fucking Beckham or something, and bring him down here.
I couldn't name an AFL player if you asked me.
No.
I could name Warwick Kappa.
Yeah, from the 80s.
But that's about it.
I know the guy that run it in the industry, know of, and I think I've met him at a thing like that. The guy, the Gillian guy that runs it.
Stabbed myself in the head.
Well, all I looked at it, and everyone said where they said you don't understand. I was like, clearly, I don't understand why it costs that money. And the only thing is because like AFL gives them 360. This is where I get defamatory, allegedly. But like I'm just looking at saying. I can't think of any. So they give them $360 million, and what do? They give it all back to the AFL, like in franchise fees and then buying players. It's like, what is this? We're just money laundering? Like, what's the... Like, what? Why? Why does it cost that much money?
Why are we talking about this? I know but I'm saying in general, Tasmania can't afford their healthcare. They can't afford their education. They can't afford their roads. They can't afford their food.
Most importantly, there isn't a decent Chinese restaurant.
Exactly. Like, of all the things you should be spending money on in Tasmania, that ain't it.
Yeah. So
this is just distraction.
Yeah, completely.
So let's just get everyone talking about AFL bullshit, and let's not have them picking on us for the fact that we aren't.
It's 50 years ago. I think the politicians genuinely think it's a good idea, and I think they've gone into it and they've gone, "Why is this so fucking difficult?" But I don't see why they can't just continue. I can't see why they can't. Because there's different. I don't know fuck all about sport. You know much more about sports than I do. But there's different competitions, and there's the AFL, which is the premier league of things, and then there's VFL. There's a Victorian one. I don't know if Tasmania even has a team in that. I don't think they do. I think they used to, and they don't anymore.
No, they've got their own. Tasmania's got their own
league. Yeah, which is great and fine, and more power to them.
Launceston plays Launceston.
Yeah. Then they should do more of that. I don't know, and I understand why they're doing.
And who won? Launceston. Yeah. This was a running joke.
And I understand why politicians.
I'm sorry.
It's at least red versus blue.
And they got annoyed at me because I didn't know that there was a difference between. And I'm like, are you insane? Anyway, yep.
Yeah. So it's a hilarity, and I don't know why.
Do you know who should get $360 million? Queenstown AFL, the ones who play on gravel that Kate Blanchett mentioned. They're fucking insane.
And that gets mentioned on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and that's front page news. Oh, the Americans, they know where we are.
They mentioned Tasmania.
You know, someone who's not from Tasmania mentions Tasmania, not in Tasmania,
Again, it's all just distraction. It's just subterfuge about...
I just think it's a very slow... I don't think it's malice. I just think it's stupidity. I think politicians, it's good. Like back in the good old days, you provide a stadia and you provide entertainment for the masses, and
Usually people died,
and you can go and
gladiators.
Are you not entertained? Yeah. and you do all that sort of stuff, and it's a good place to go, and you can sit in the corporate box, and
you've got that already.
Yeah, and things have moved on, but people like it here. But again, Tasmania is so parochial, and that's why I'm saying if you want to build it on the Mason-Dixon line, and for people that don't understand, there is a definite delineation, north-south divide. There's even an argument about where it is, but it is literally like the Mason-Dixon line in the States, where around Oatlands, Ross. So when I worked at the university, so this university had 3 major campuses in the south, the north, and the northwest. I never went to the northwest, I'm sure it's probably... But massive, like proper university campuses and all the rest of it, and they still met in Ross.
Huge chips on their shoulders.
Because that was the only place where they'd all sit there, at either end of a bridge, basically, and then yell things at each other.
Again, back to my T-shirt and my hat that I'm going to get made.
Which one?
Do you have nothing better to do with your time than argue about AFL teams and where...
No. Well, allow me to mention the next thing that came... And we will have a positive thing to end on.
First thing first, I would like... Maybe I'll do this. No, I won't, because I don't like talking to people. I would like the local journalist to go into the mall that's dead and ask people 2 questions. I would like to ask them about the AFL stadium, whether or not they think spending $360 million on a stadium is worth it, and then ask them something about health or education and see if they know anything about health and education, and I guarantee they'll have an opinion on the stadium. This is ridiculous.
The scientist in me says that's a push poll, but it would be interesting to have a focus group and go and sort of see what people and where they should put it, and
because it's just a shit fight. That's what I mean. There's no point.
Well, changing gears, the other thing that I did see an article on yesterday, which was encouraging, which we've also complained about here before, is the state of the roadworks.
Oh, really?
And
what was that on? The Examiner?
Oh, no, I think it was in the ABC.
Oh, good, because the Examiner doesn't count.
And they would attend the opening of an envelope. Look us up. Even we get in it. And they were saying that they were complaining, and they were finally getting... So what the central argument of the article is that businesses are now saying... They're actually bringing up some salient points that we would agree with you. 1... we're going to have to start building... It's costing us money. Like, people sitting there trying to transport things from north to south. Like, we're sitting there because they've got right now 3 places where you have to stop. Oh, but it's for occupational health and safety. You have to... Like, they stop, they do some work, and then they stop working, and they let them go. Yep. And they're saying that. So they were all in there going, well, okay, if you're doing that now...
And there's no other choice.
So they're getting to... There's no other way to get down there.
That's what I'm saying. That's the road.
That's it. That's the road, right? So, and they've done that in 3 major places. So you're stopping in 3 places, right? So that was point 1. Point 2, they're saying it's been 10 years. We haven't been able to drive from Launceston to Hobart without there being roadwork for 10 years. This is beyond the pale. Thirdly, the ridiculous speed limits. You're reducing speed limits down to 40 when there's nobody there, and then you're booking people. So all of these things, like,
finally,
tick, 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 where they're finally going, this is getting ridiculous. This is utterly ridiculous. So to which we've always said, if you want to have roadworks, fine, have roadworks. 1, work on 1 section of road,
finish it,
move on, and then you would expect... that if you go down there, you go, all right, I'm going to have to stop here, but I'm going to stop here for 5 minutes. It's a known quantity, fine, and then I move on, and it's a normal trip.
And use the Sydney model. Sydney does road work on the cover of darkness of night time till 2 o'clock in the morning. Big signs go up telling everyone, as from this date to this date, from 9 or 10 o'clock at night till 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, there'll be roadworks when there's less people around. I don't they do it in the middle of the day here. In peak hour. Well, and they just close the road.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It definitely, this is anecdotal because it's just ours, but like the Wooden Boat Show was on last week. We didn't go. You know why?
Didn't want to drive through roadworks. Every time we go down there, so Launceston to Hobart should be basically 2 hours flat. Yep. And we
It
only had
takes
1
2.5
day available to
or
us, and
3
we were
hours.
going to go down for the day, and then when we worked it out how much it would take to travel down there,
It'd add hours.
it wasn't worth
I was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
So there you go, Hobart. There's, a few $100 from one people. Again, we're not,
No,
but it's showing, it's
not the
coming
only
into
ones,
the
I don't
amount of
think.
people that would just go, nah, fuck that.
and they do it here anyway. I remember we get laughed at because we actually do go to Hobart because, again, north and south. People don't go north and south, whereas we're from Sydney and 2 hours is fine in a car for us, so we'll happily drive down to Hobart and back in a day. That's fine. But yeah, neighbours laugh at us because, oh God, what are you doing that? And taking a packed lunch? Rah, rah, rah.
Oh, you'd have to stay for 2 days to
Yeah,
recover.
it's like, no. But yeah, if it's 2 hours, it's fine. When it's 3.5 to 4 hours because you're standing there watching a dude just hold a sign, do nothing,
Yeah.
and then you get frustrated. I wonder if someone's run anyone over yet because, fuck. I got frustrated the last time I drove it and I wasn't stopping 3 times because I wasn't doing the speed limits because, again, there's nobody here. There's no machinery. There's no nothing. The road's fine. There's no gravel on the road.
And where I get shitty because you'll do 50 kilometres over the speed limit and I'll go, I don't want to give them $2,000 in your licence. Can you fucking not?
There's no one here.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, but now...
Who's going to book me?
Yeah, but now they do because they'll put one of those fucking
Oh, the tanks.
the machines out and they will book you.
Yeah.
Because they're finally because that was my argument always was because there was never any speed traps in Tassie. There just wasn't. Because
Anyway.
there's not that many police and everybody's related to everybody else and the shit would hit the fan. I think, people would have to listen to it personally.
Yeah.
But now I think after COVID, they're so far in the red that
They're grabbing at everything.
they're grabbing at everything. So we're getting booked now. Like, we don't get booked, but we've been booked. Where
I think I mentioned this the other week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a contractor coming to the bar to do something, air conditioning guy. He and I both
Got booked.
on the same day.
Just in the normal prosecution of your business.
Yeah.
And
Mine was a $90 fine and his was a $30 fine, I think.
So, yeah. They're trying to scrape it back. But anyway, so a big Tasmanian whinge. But anyway, let's finish on a high point and watch my beautiful third wife's eyes light up. They're opening a TK-Maxx in Hobart.
Ooh.
Told you.
Where?
One of the malls.
I like a TK-Maxx.
So there
I
you
wonder
go.
if they'll get good shit.
It'll take you 9 hours to drive there, but
Well, hopefully now that it's made the news, then something might get done about it, the road work.
it is literally quicker to drive from here to
The
Launceston
airport,
Airport,
get on a plane.
fly to Melbourne
Yeah.
or Sydney,
Yeah.
and go to TK-Maxx.
Yeah, I know.
Sydney would be pushing it because TK-Maxx is kind of out in Campbelltown.
Nah, Melbourne.
But Melbourne,
Yeah.
you could absolutely get there, get the Sky Bus over to Spencer Street Station, and then
100%.
be straight into TK-Maxx
Just,
quicker
yeah.
than you could get to Northgate Shopping Centre. So I think it is at Northgate, now that my brain has popped that in.
Yeah, it'd be 2 hours to get me in a TK-Maxx in Melbourne.
And I think that would take longer.
Yeah,
would take
on
2.5
roadworks, takes
hours.
three and a bit hours to get to Hobart.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd go to Melbourne quicker.
So anyway, but
Cool.
So-
But when? 2029?
I don't know.
I'll have to look it up.
After, it's contingent on starting an AFL
Because I
team.
like Hobart. And we, well, in moderation, but
Yeah, in small doses, it's
we
fine.
would go 3 or 4 times a year if it wasn't as hard to go. So,
I think if it was 110 the whole way, like if they actually put in, because again, like, use policies from the Weimar Republic, work out where your major centres are, put in 3-lane roads in each direction, just spend the money, and then let the economy float around it, and do things like, have your stupid stadium, put it in the fucking middle there, and actually have people use the roads and do those sorts of things, and let the economic output increase because of that.
3 things I want to say. 1, after they've done roadworks, it's no different. They don't put in any extra lanes.
No.
So yeah, they do all this work and you stop and you start and blah, 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 and then they finish, and you go, there's
What'd
still
you-
1 lane.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Why did you bother?
2, they've been redoing all the roads in Launceston City CBD lately, even Kings Meadows and stuff. Roads that are perfectly fine.
But you know how it is. If you get a grant to do it and you don't use the money, well, you don't get the grant again.
It's hilarious. So the road that's fine, they're resurfacing. The one that's shit, nah, that's fine. We'll just leave that. The big potholes.
That's a local road. This is a state
Oh,
road,
God.
and the state or a federal
And
road.
I've forgotten the 3rd thing. Damn it, it's gone.
And another thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's because it is a thing. Like, I mean, at the very least, Burnie, Devonport, Launceston, Hobart should have at least, at the very least, let's be extremely at least a dual lane highway in each direction. So 4 lanes in total with a fucking crash barrier running through it from beginning to end, from soup to nuts, from arsehole to breakfast.
There's no planning.
Like, just build that.
They just all bicker amongst themselves. And
just build that. And then let...
the third thing I remember.
All right.
Fucking car parks here are so small. Like, you can't fit your car in the spot and you can't get your car out of the spot. And my car's not a big car and your car isn't the truck.
It's not a Dodge Ram,
no.
but it's a full size. It's a full size ute.
Tasmanians, like, they have the smallest parking spots ever, and there's not enough distance between you and the next car line.
No.
Like, you can't get your car out. It takes 5 bits to get in.
And the land here, compared to elsewhere, is free. Just buy more of it.
So anyway.
But yes, so that's our complaining about.
Wow, we complained a bit today.
Yes, we did. But like yesterday, I just want to buy some mesh, and then of course this is a much, it's out of stock now because I've bought it all at
Bunnings.
At Bunnings, and there won't be any more stock again, ever. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Part whinge, part complain, part you can do better. Like,
why?
Why aren't you doing better?
Why?
Like, I don't know. You could be so good and efficient, and yeah.
Hopefully it'll improve. Tasmania just needs, to begin with, like next week, it needs 1 million people.
Not even, just utilise the people you've got better.
Well, there's just got to be some. It needs new blood. It needs new blood, and it needs some actual. It needs a plan. It needs a bit of a plan. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Which is easy enough. Like, it's granted, yep, COVID got in the way and all the rest of it because they didn't have much of a plan beforehand. But just pick 4 things. Just all right. We're going to have a GP super clinic in every major centre in 5 years, and it's going to bulk bill.
Yeah,
okay,
because that's in the news as well at the moment.
So and I've been talking about that for fucking years
since we got here.
So let's do that, right?
Yep.
So that's job 1, right? Budget $1 billion. Done. Thanks very much. We're going to put a dual lane fucking road. We've got to address the roadworks. Okay, it's a fucking problem. We're going to change the way we do it.
Transport.
And this is what we're going to do.
So health, transport, education.
And education. We do things differently to everywhere else, and we have the worst outcomes. So we're going to stop doing that. We're going to find out who's got the best outcomes, and we're going to do it the same way as them, as a trial, and then we're going to roll it out against everywhere else.
Yeah, and have a minimum standard for every child that comes out of every level of school.
Yes, that needs to be a national thing.
Funnel all your efforts into that.
Yeah.
Because if you're educated, yay, better outcomes.
Yeah. And then do something, and then have the puff piece. Yeah. Okay. Do you all want the AFL stadium?
Something fun, yeah.
Fine. Do you want a tourism thing?
Medical cannabis. You've
Fine.
already got the poppies here.
Oh, they're doing that, but that's a global thing. That they're still getting at. So they do grow medical cannabis here.
Oh, okay.
But if I was going to say quite the opposite, which they did do, 1975, they had this idea: make this a
vice.
Add some vice. Make this a
on
sunny
that.
place for shady people.
Have a mini Vegas.
Have the Vegas. Have plenty of places do it. Make Tassies not be allowed to go. Have a high rollers casino. Do something like that.
Get Packer down here. Packers Pecker didn't go well in Sydney, so...
Well, that was the same sort of thing. The locals weren't really... It was for high rollers only. Work out what you want to do to attract everything. And again, it doesn't have to be, coke and hookers. Doesn't hurt. Works pretty easily, but
have light and dark, the two sides of tourism.
Have some tourism.
Nature,
and be realistic, because that's the other thing. Not everyone wants to traipse about a dewy track at dawn.
No.
To see the 40 spotted pardalote.
Wonder how they're going.
Yeah, who cares?
Wonder how Susan's going.
But yeah, just there you go, 4 things, and just sort of say, and they're our main things, and this is our manifesto, and this is what we're going to do over if you vote for us, this is going to require more
10
than
years.
This is going to require more than one thing. We're going to do it, but we're going to set it in stone. We're going to do it, and we'd like
housing,
and we want to get enough. Yep, sure.
Housing and aged care need to fall in there somewhere as well.
Yep. I don't think aged care is doing so bad here because there's so much of it.
Yeah.
That might be the thing that you produce for the rest of the country. Do you say we're going to be Australia's premier aged care facility? Send us your
aged people here.
Aged people here, and we'll transition them into
booming business.
It's a growth industry. Like, why not do something like that
and do it well?
Yeah.
Like, who were you talking to the other day? Again, we're going way too long.
Yeah.
Who worked in aged care and said they don't have a fryer because they're not allowed to serve fried food anymore, which I thought was wow.
A homosexual friend of mine who came in wearing a T-shirt that said "woof" on it, and I went, "Oh, look, it's got a typo." He got it. The girlfriend didn't.
Oh, really?
The boyfriend. The pitcher got it. The catcher didn't. I said, "Oh, it's a really nice T-shirt. Shame about the typo there." Anyway, so what was interesting? Yes, he was saying, we're talking about his job. So he's a chef at a. That's
the other chef I was thinking of.
Right, at a aged care home, and he said, "Right, it's company policy. We don't own a fryer."
Which most people would be that look on my face of wow. Yeah.
Right, so that's company policy, and it's like, what a simple policy.
Yeah.
What a good idea.
Yes.
So I can't make the fucking shit chips and the shit fish and the thing. And he says, I have 3 freezers, and that's it. 3 small chest freezers, domestic chest freezers. He said one of them's full of ice cream.
Yeah, because oldies like ice cream.
And that's it.
And again, when you've got bad, when your teeth hurt.
Yeah. And that was like, I've heard other people
and
say this from back in the day.
And you need calories when you're older.
Yeah, and ice cream is calories. Give them ice cream. At the end of the night, here you go, darling. Here's a Guinness. Here's an ice cream. Yeah, here's a little, here's a little brandy.
Yeah. That's what you should be having.
That's what they should be having. Oh no, it's just like they're grown adults. If they're bad and if they're in this, treat them with some goddamn respect and feed them properly. But yeah, anyway, he said that, and he had two small freezers. That's all he had, and he said everything else comes in. We cook it. He said everything's in a combi oven. We cook it, and then it goes to them. So I can't do shit food even if I wanted to.
Yeah. So double down on that
like,
and be the world leader in something.
Or not the world leader, or just a good option. Be a good option. Be a viable option.
Aim to be the world leader in something. Like, set a high standard for once.
At least to a national standard.
Aim for something.
Tassie has got some, like, it's doing all right in wine. The shipbuilder's okay. Oh, Elon Musk mentioned us.
Oh, really? No.
Yeah, months ago. There's a few. And we, certainly grow. Ozarks mention us.
Yes.
We grow half the world's legal smack. So those sorts of industries, that's good, but maybe some more visible things.
Yeah.
But yeah, pick some. But to do it locally and they just need a premier that can bring everybody together.
Vision.
And they've had it twice in the times that I've been here. They had it in.
I remember the guy Bacon.
Yep, Jim Bacon, who died.
He said he was doing really well.
He was doing really well, and he was really shopping Tasmania to the rest of Australia and the world, and he dropped dead.
Yeah.
And ironically, his wife, with a wonderful name, Honey Bacon.
Bacon.
Only in
Is that a
Tasmania.
real name?
Yeah.
Cool.
Honey Bacon.
I wonder if she married him on purpose.
I hope so. She was like the showgirl at West Point Casino in 1975. Like
so she's a glamour.
So she was the glamour.
Awesome.
Back then.
Is she still around?
Yeah,
I have to look her up.
She's still kicking about. So there was that guy, and then funnily enough, even though he was a bit of a twat, was the Gutwin guy. And like, I thought he was a bit of a twat, but he was doing quite well, and at least we're doing something. Seemed to be a bit of a plan, and then the wheels fell off, and then obviously he'd had jack of it, and by the end of it, and now we've just got seat moisteners, like in between with Labor, between Jim Bacon and Gutwin, they were just all seat moisteners.
Did nothing.
Just couldn't get any traction.
Couldn't do anything.
Just
useless.
Looked like the other chap, I've forgotten his name. It'll come to me in a second. The Labor guy that took after him. He looked like he was made out of spare parts. Like he just. Okay, cool, and and I get it, mate. You didn't sign up for it, like you weren't ready, or it wasn't your forte because you've got punted into this job because your boss dropped dead. But
at least have a go.
I think they did, but some people just take a shot and miss, and like some you end up here. Oh fuck! I'm the Premier of Tasmania. Oh Christ!
Second prize.
Yeah, pretty much Premier of Adelaide.
Canberra.
They don't even get a Premier. But
do they have a Premier?
No, it's a territory.
Have they got someone the equivalent though?
A First Minister.
I was going to say they've got someone, right?
You get
Because they all go to the conference and they don't get someone. That could be a bit.
Yeah, they've basically got a seat in the federal parliament. You know, like everyone should have, because why the fuck for 20 million people do we have 7 fucking houses of parliament?
I think next podcast will be about Tasmanian politics specifically, because that is a ride in itself.
Oh,
wow.
dear.
What was that noise? All right, on that note.
The house moving down.
Yep, house is falling down.
The house is falling down and we're in it, so off you go, my children. Watch out for wolves. But yes, we didn't mean it to be a whole another complaint about Tasmania, but yeah, just sometimes it's just beyond a joke. And the reason why, when we do care, if we didn't care, we'd just come and go and not rant about
That's
it.
what I mean. It's part whinge, part why? Why?
Doesn't need to be like
I
this.
don't understand. Why can't you be better? We think it's simple.
And it's a larger it's not just picking on Tasmania. It's a larger complaint about Australia. Australia, I always think, first world prices, third world services, and it is across the board, where everything is shit. So like, you know, I'll connect to the internet, will you? NBN,
God.
great. I'll connect to the power, will you?
Oh God! Yeah.
Get your checkbook out, and we'll do it in 6 months.
That's what I mean.
I'll connect to gas. We've tried to do that. Oh no, it'll be $9,000.
The basic services, water.
Yeah. Oh, water's still okay, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, because I don't think, because whatever there is, some reason they haven't. That rings a bit true to people, and they haven't privatised that. Or I'll try and go to work. Oh well, enjoy the toll road, or you know, and it'll take me 6 hours to get there, and the house I bought's fallen down because the company didn't build it properly. Like, I mean, this place, at least in a fucking military junta, shit gets done, and at least in where this, I still think again, Australia is institutionalised corruption. Like so privatise the corruption, guys. Because when the mob was running the place, you could get shit done. It was much more efficient. Whereas now, because tell me how, when the government isn't building anything for you, isn't providing any services you don't have to pay for and provide contributions to, how is that not just bribery? How is that not corruption? And where people can go, I just don't feel like that. I want that to happen. And it's like, why not? Because I don't want to. Well, that's corrupt. That's really corrupt. And this place has it in spades. So, as I was saying, if they there's no politician law, there's no laws for political donations or anything like that here. So bring that in. Someone with the courage to bring that in. And then you'll get your next jail built.
Yeah.
Because you'd need somewhere to put half a parliament. It's this sort of thing. Again, we can complain about it till we're blue in the face about even our tiny little developments that we've done, and but so and so won't like that. And I was like, what the fuck's it got to do with so and so? There's a set of rules? Oh yeah, but and that's worked both in our favour and against us. But it's unbelievable. So there you go. So do better, Tasmania.
Yes, please. You could.
There's no reason why you couldn't. So anyway.
Yeah. Slightly depressing on that note, but
they're opening a TK-Maxx in Hobart.
All right, I'm going to look that up. Goodbye.
See you guys.
TK-Maxx Hobart.